Welcome to the fourth lecture of Module 3. In this lecture today, we shall discuss about the other processes related to the wet photopolymerization. So in today's lecture, we shall discuss about the perfectory and its component like digital mirror device, the recoating mechanism, a little bit about the curing mechanism, and we shall discuss about the another process which is called as object polyjet. So, if you recall this, where we have classified the wet photopolymerization based liquid additive manufacturing processes based on different subcomponents such as the scanning system, shape of UV light, shape of liquid, build direction, and recoating system, you can see that the perfectory, which is here, uses DLP for scanning the layers, and it uses floodlight instead of a laser beam. Also, it uses liquid wet, that means there is a bed of liquid, and it builds the object in -z direction. Also, as the building is in the -z direction, the material has to be added from the bottom side, and that is called as bottom feeding. So basically, perfectory is the photopolymerization based liquid additive manufacturing system with the best cost to performance ratio. It provides very good accuracy and also very economical during running. As compared to the SLA, the capital cost for this particular system was far lower. It usually driven by a technology called DLP. In other words, it is called as digital light processing or digital mirror device. This particular technology was invented by Mr. Hendrik John of Envision Tech, Germany. The process works in a very similar way like other additive manufacturing processes. We start with a 3D CAD model and then we do the slicing of the object. As you can see here, these are the contour datas. Then each contour data is converted to something called a digital mask. So what is digital mask? Assume that this area from here to here and here to here in this direction is consisted of lot of mirrors. Only the mirror is deflecting the light in the region where there is a material, and where there is no material, the mirror is not allowing, means it has created a mask. After creating the digital mask for each layer, we can pass the light through each and every slice and build the object. Finally, of course, your solid model will be ready. As I have mentioned already, the micro mirror device. So this is how a typical perfectory system or a DLP based system looks like. It is consisted of on the bottom side by a DMD, which is called as digital mirror device, or DLP, digital light processing. A UV light got projected on this mirror device, as you can see from here. As these mirrors can oscillate about its axis, they appropriately project this light towards the build platform. Now this is the build platform and the liquid resin is available here. As the light is going from the bottom, therefore of course the bottom side of this bed has to be transparent corresponding to the UV light. As the UV light falls on the bottom side of this resin, the layer gets cured and this platform goes up. Each time the platform goes up, the layer gets cured. So as you can see here, the growth of the part is in this direction, that is in -z direction. You are building the part upside down. After completion of the process, the part will be hanged upside down on this platform. This is how the mirror device looks like. It is consisted of lot of micro mirrors, and to create the digital mask, the mirror those are corresponding to transfer the light will be aligned appropriately, and the mirror those are not going to transfer the light to the bed will align in another direction. This is a 2D representation of the same. Here again you can see this is the platform which goes up and down. This is the plate on which the part is stick, and this is the liquid resin. The UV light is falling from the bottom side through a transparent window, and it cures the liquid resin available at the bottommost part. You can see one very important thing here, that this process has far most advantage as compared to the SLA process, the requirement of the material. In the case of SLA process, if you recall, we used to have a big tank of liquid photopolymer and we have the part here. Now, even if you want to build a part of maybe a length or height of HMM, that is very small, not really very big, your liquid tank has to be filled completely, because for the recoating operation you know that it has to go down and then come up at this location only. Why at this location? Because the laser light that was falling from the top has a focal point at this level only. Therefore, each time your liquid tank has to be filled completely with the wet photopolymer. While in this case, the minimum requirement of the material is just equal to the layer thickness. Hence, the material required here or as an inventory is quite less as compared to the SLA. And that is why I have mentioned that the running cost of this particular system is far more economical as compared to SLA, and this invention is just by flipping the object upside down. It is the greatest invention according to me in additive manufacturing. Just they think out of box. Instead of the building part in this direction, they just build the part upside down and could eliminate the issue related to the inventory of the material. There are a few more advantages of this process that I'll discuss later. So the typical steps involved in the wet photopolymerization process are highlighted here. The first step is, of course, the exposure. The UV light falls from the bottom onto a transparent window and interact with the liquid photopolymer. As the liquid photopolymer get interact with the UV light, we know that the photopolymerization start and this particular layer got cured. As this layer got cured, of course, some portion of the layer may get stick with the transparent window as well. Hence, we have to appropriately remove it from the transparent window. Usually, this operation is called as peeling. Earlier, it was performed by just shaking the table in this manner as you are seeing here, so that we can peel away the part from the transparent window, and hence the next step can be taken place. Of course, peeling away is a very tedious task. However, nowadays many solutions are there for that. I'll discuss later on, but this is the classic one. Then after that, the platform goes up and it allows the liquid photopolymer to flow under the part. As the liquid photopolymer flows under the part, now another level is almost ready. You can notice one very important thing here. As in the case of SLA, we used to have a doctor blade or a recoater that used to wipe off the extra material and all. Here we are taking the advantage of the gravity. The gravity itself is giving us the benefit of flowing the liquid photopolymer under the part. As the liquid photopolymer flows under the part, it takes very uniform surface level. Then the build platform comes down up to a desired level, and hence the new layer of the liquid photopolymer is available. The next step will again start from here. The liquid photopolymer available under the part will get exposed by the UV light and it will cure the part. This video will show you the conventional perfectory process developed by Envision Tech. Here you can see the thing which just came down is the build platform, and from the bottom UV light is coming. You can see that the part is sticked to this build platform and hanging upside down. Also, it can be noticed in these regions there is no light coming because there is no material here. The light is falling only on the region where there is a material. And as the process goes on, the part keeps moving upside and the layer got cured on the bottom. I have already mentioned the key features of this process. It can reduce the cycle time drastically because in this process you are taking the advantage of gravity for spreading the layer. No need to have some additional arrangements like we discussed in our previous system, the classical SLA system. Also, it minimizes the need for support structure. How it does that? So for this, let me give you a very good example also. I want to make a circle, or in other word, in 3D it is a sphere. And it is a sphere of maybe few mm thickness, maybe I'll say 2 mm. Now if you want to build this part by SLA, what will happen? In the conventional SLA, we build the part bottom up, I mean in this side. The support will be required in this region, of course, as this is an overhang, and also support will be required from inside as well. After completion of the process, of course, the liquid material will get trapped inside the part and there is no way of taking this liquid out as it's a closed ball kind of shape. Now let me make the same part by this process. Assume that there is a build platform here and you are starting from the bottom side. As you grow, you will build the part in this manner, which will be hang upside down like this. First of all, the support will be required only in these regions. There will be no support required for other regions here. Also, there will be no liquid material available here, which will not get trapped because the liquid material will keep on draining out as you are building the part in this direction. And the UV light is coming from this direction. So when you will cure the last portion of it, which will close this ball, then of course at this point there will be no liquid inside because the remaining liquid will got drained out. So according to me, this is the only SLA process which I believe can make the hollow objects and do not allow the liquid material to remain inside. Also, the another key feature of this process is no laser. Lasers are usually expensive as compared to the floodlight because there is a cavity involved in that. We have already discussed the mechanism of laser which makes the light coherence. However, in our case, when a floodlight is used, it is monochromatic but not coherence and it is flooded in all the directions. The another key feature is mass projection with DLP optical semiconductor technology. Here, one very good benefit we can see immediately is that the entire layer, for example, in this layer, this is the region which you want to cure, the entire region will get cured in a single go. As in the case of SLA, you have to scan the internal region by utilizing or by moving the beam appropriately with a step over value. In other words, I can say the build time in the SLA process is directly proportional to the volume of the object because you are going to move on each and every point on the layer. While in the case of DLP, you are just projecting in a single go and the entire layer or entire region which is required get cured. Hence, the time which is required to build the part in DLP is proportional to the height of the object only. Also, these mirrors are having a very good amount of lifetime, which is approximately 22,000 hours. To understand this, let me consider an example. Two objects, those are shown in figure 1A, this is figure 1A, and 1B are to be manufactured by EnvisionTech's Perfectory. What will be the ratio of build time for both the objects? So this is the substrate, or I'll call it as a build platform. This is the build platform. and the height of the object here is 100 mm, and here also the height of the object is 100 mm. Now let me take an example of a plane at a particular height, and of course the cross section what we will obtain here where the material has to be cured is nothing but a circle. Again, if I will take a cross section of this particular object, the intersection will be collection of some circles. But you can notice, even if it is a single circle or if there are multiple circles on a slice, it does not matter. It will take same time, because the light is coming from the bottom as a floodlight, will just block the light where it is not required, and it will not block the light where it is required. Even if you are scanning a small circle or you are scanning a multiple circles on the same slice, it will take the same time. Hence, the time required for the object to be built, which is shown in figure number 1a, and the time required to build the object shown in figure 1b will remain equal if you are using a DLP based wet photopolymerization system. So, in other words, the time required for figure 1b divided by the time required shown in figure 1b will be equals to 1. The time will be same. So, now let us discuss a few things in detail, such as the recoating, which includes the peeling or sliding, waiting till the liquid material gets settled, and leveling. Also, number 3, which is the exposure. It is also called in this case as voxel curing. And also we shall discuss about the digital mirror device, that is DMD. So first is digital mirror device or digital light processing, or in some cases it is also called as digital micro mirror devices. The acronym for that could be DMD most of the time, or sometimes DLP for digital light processing. So we have made a macro scale, or you can say a working model of the DMD device. Here the mirrors are quite visible to you, while in the real case the size of the mirrors will be really tiny and you will not be able to see these mirrors by the naked eye. You may need some microscopes for that. But here you can see the basic principle. These are the mirrors, they are attached on a hinge point. Okay, and if I supply the appropriate voltage to the magnetic coil mounted on the back side of the mirror, it can deflect. However, in this mirror I do not have the magnetic coil, but instead we have mounted some magnetic material on the back side of it. And when a permanent magnet moves, I will move by hand, you can see the pixels can move in different orientation. So basically a digital micro device DMD is a binary light modulator that consists of rectangular array of square mirrors that can be tilted around their diagonals into either one or two stable positions. Like you are seeing here, this is a tiny mirror which is mounted at the center, and it can be at two positions, two stable positions. For example, this is the landing tip and one corner of the mirror is stick with this. This is one position, and if that side is activated, this particular edge will get stick to this. When the device is not powered, the micro mirror will lie flat, meaning the normal to the surface of each mirror is aligned with the optical axis of the device. As you can see here, this particular state is called as on state, and when it is not projecting, it is called as off state. So the state when the light is not projected on the build platform is called as off state, and when the light is projected on the build platform is called as on state. So here you can see the red color, it is the light coming towards the mirror and then reflecting back, showing in the blue color. And this is the build platform. Hence, the light is not going towards the build platform. If the mirror is activated, means the appropriate voltage is supplied to that and it is tilted, the light falling on it will direct it towards the build platform, and it will be called as on state. So in other words, when the DMD is powered, the micro mirrors can be individually addressed and rotated into either one of their two fixed operating positions. Those positions being the mirror tilted 12 degree from the normal of the surface of the device, sometimes referred to as on state and the off state. So this is how typically a DMD chip looks like. And if you zoom in at a very small area, what you will see is nothing but the array of square mirrors. There is a nomenclature which we are using here, like this is via, the distance between the two mirror is pitch, and this is the size of the micro mirror. So let me give you a demonstration of the macro scale version of the DMD. So we have also made a macro scale version of the DLP. Each mirror on the back side is consisted of a magnetic material. When a permanent magnet moves, you can see the mirrors are deflecting about its hinge point. As the light falls onto it, it will either deflect towards your eye or it will deflect away. When it is deflecting towards your eye, could be called as on position, and when it is deflected away, could be called as off position or off state. The same analogy can be extended to the screen. Here you can see, if all the pixels are activated, you can see the light will be projected completely. And if the permanent magnet will move appropriately, the particular mirror will not deflect the light. However, in the real DLP system, this permanent magnet doesn't move. What we do instead, we used to have the electromagnetic coils, and each coil we can get activated or deactivated through outside source. So an array of the input can be given like 1010, and wherever it is 1, the mirror can get activated, and wherever it is 0, the mirror can get deactivated. So the mass of the mirror is also very low, and as it's very low, the motion of the mirror doesn't create any noise. The typical DMD system can work for 22,000 hours. The nomenclature which is used usually in a DMD is the micro mirror pitch. Micro mirror pitch is the distance between the center of two neighboring mirrors, as you can see here. The micro mirror size of the linear dimension of one mirror is called as micro mirror size, as you see here. Via is the small non-reflective part at the center of each mirror through which the mirrors are mounted on the underlying hinge structure. So like I have mentioned, to program it, what you can do, you can obtain the contours and you can easily find out the region where there is material and the region where there is no material. And then you can assume that the entire region or the bounding block is consisted of lot of mirrors. The pixels or the points lying outside the region can be considered as 0, and the pixels falling inside can be considered as 1. If you are using a platform like MATLAB, you can use the function which is called as inPolygon. You need to just test whether these points are inside the polygon or outside the polygon. If they are outside the polygon, give or assign them a value 0, and if they are inside, assign them a value 1. And hence this array of 1 0 and 1 0, like for example here this is 0, this is 0, while the pixel, if I'll take inside 1, this is 1. This array can be given to the machine, and that machine can appropriately activate the mirror corresponding to the appropriate position of 1 and 0 in the array. So I'll show you in this video the typical DLP system. Here right now we are at this slice, and as the cross section we are getting, the inside mirror, the mirror those are corresponding to the inside region are getting activated. Also we need to generate the support structures appropriately at the same time, like for example here these pixels are most probably corresponding to the support structure. As we keep on moving, the slice is moving, as you are seeing here, the pixels those needs to be get activated are changing continuously, and you can see the thing here, the entire layer get cured in a single go, whatever the size of the layer is or how many pixels are activated or deactivated, that doesn't even matter. That is why I mentioned the time required to make the component by DLP based wet photopolymerization is directly proportional to the height of the object. Now let us discuss about the voxel curing. So assume that this is your DMD chip and it has a resolution of A cross B. A cross B means there are A number of mirrors along the x-axis and B number of mirrors along the y-axis. Each mirror is having a side of A and it is of a square shape. As the light is getting projected on the wet photopolymer, light is getting projected on the liquid bed on the top side, the cured part will be a cube, or which can be called as voxel. The size of this voxel can be considered as AP on the xy axis, the x axis and y axis, and the height of the voxel is h. Of course, this height of the object will be depending on the exposure time. Now assume the resolution of DED A cross B, therefore the total number of pixels will be TP equals to A cross B. Now assume that the work area selected on which we are going to make the part is x by y. Hence the entire area will be xy mm square. Now the area of the voxel cured on the xy plane can be given by AP equals to the entire area of this bed divided by the resolution of the DMD chip. Hence we can find out, as a pixel is a square, definitely the projected area will be also a square, and hence the side of the projected area can be obtained as AP. And to calculate AP, we can just replace this AP, the area of the projected area of the voxel, equals to AP square, and hence you can find out AP as equals to root over xy divided by AB. Once you know the side of the voxel on the xy plane, you can find out the volume of the object if height is known to you. It will be nothing but the volume will be equals to height into AP square, that is the area, and hence this is the volume of the voxel which you are curing by this technology. Let us consider an example. I have a projector or a UV light or a DMD system which has a resolution of 1280 by 124. That means there are total 13,10,720 pixels available in this micro device. Now assume that the work area on which we are making the part is 190 by 152 mm. Hence the total work area will be equals to the multiplication of these two, and hence 28,880 mm square. Now the area per pixel, the area which is getting cured on this bed corresponding to each pixel, can be easily calculated by dividing this area by the number of pixels, and it is coming to be 0.0220 mm square. As each pixel on the scanned here, which is scanned here, is a square, we can easily find out the side of this, that is AP, and it will be nothing but the root over of this value. Hence the side of the voxel or the projected pixel will be 0.148 mm. Hence the resolution of the machine at maximum work area setting is going to be 0.14 mm in the xy plane. As you can see here in this diagram, this is consisted of all the voxels. This particular side is 0.148 mm, this side is also 0.148 mm, and the height, which depends highly on the exposure time. If assume that the height is 30 micron, you can find out the volume. It is going to be approximately equals to 0.00066 mm cube, which is nothing but h into AP square. So to build any part, it will be consisted of the voxels like here. appropriately. Wherever there is no material, there will be no voxel, and wherever there is a material, the voxel will be present. Now let us discuss about the recoating system. As I have mentioned, peeling is the most difficult step in the recoating cycle for DLP. Other than that, the weighting and leveling are not really much of our concern. So what are the solutions currently available for peeling? Because peeling away may not be a very optimal solution. Some part of material always remains on the very transparent bottom sheet. And as over the period of time we keep on curing it, the window may become opaque. And as it becomes opaque, the required amount of energy cannot be transferred to the liquid photopolymer. So one of the popular solution is utilizing a O2 window. So silicon, which is a window, transparent window here, is very permeable for O2, and the oxygen can transfer through that. As the oxygen can transfer through that, we can pass through a very small amount of layer thickness of oxygen from the bottom side in such a way that the build platform will be slightly above, or the liquid photopolymer will not directly in contact with the silicon window. It will be slightly away from it, and we will cure it away only, and hence there will be no physical contact between the cured part and the silicon window or the transparent window. Therefore, this particular method of oxygen inhibition in each layer works very well. However, there is a continuous supply for oxygen is required for all the time, and of course it makes the process bit expensive as well. Nowadays they also use in some systems some flexible plate kind of thing. As it's a flexible plate on which we are building the material and passing the light from the bottom side, due to the flexible nature of this window, the cured part can easily get removed, because if it is a flexible window, the contact may not be very rigid with the cured part. So here one can see this is the conventional peeling method, in which you are pulling it just above, right? And you can do this experiment also. You can take a vessel, will fill with the water, and just put a maybe a glass over it upside down and try to pull it up. The force required will be of a good amount. While there is a good solution recently which we have seen is sliding away instead of peeling up. So what is happening here? In this level, the distance between the build plate and the bottom portion is exactly equal, but on the right side it is more. Hence they are sliding it like this. As the gap is more on the left side, the liquid material by the time get filled on the left side, and you keep on sliding it on the left and then come back on the right. By doing so, we can really eliminate the forces required to pull the cure part out of the liquid material. So as there are two methods for recoating the layer in the case of top down approach, one is either we lift the substrate and then allow the liquid material to come under the sub part build, or we slide the object away and then allow the new layer of the liquid photopolymer up to be available under the layer. So in these two methods, definitely the sliding is better, which we have just said. Now let us try to see through a small experiment. Thin layer of wet photopolymer on which a build surface, which is a simple plate, is placed, and now we are trying to lift it. You can observe the required force is about 7.5 Newton. Now let us try to slide the same plate over the thin layer of photopolymer, and now the force is very less and it is coming to be around 2.5 Newton only. Therefore, we can easily say that the method of sliding requires very less force and very much safer in the wet photopolymer based printer, where top down approach is used to build the object. So this was about the perfect tree. Now we shall move our discussion towards the object polyjet. So in the case of object polyjet, we uses the flying liquid and flying optics. We uses the floodlight instead of the laser beam. We uses liquid jet and build the part in plus z direction only, and also feed the material from the top. So this is how a typical object polyjet process looks like. So object is a very similar to SLA in principle, namely when a light of appropriate wavelength falls on the liquid photopolymer, the energy absorbed causes polymerization. The polymerized photopolymer will be in solid state later. The principle of inkjet printing is used here. Ink being replaced by the liquid photopolymer, of course. Also, this technology works on the raster based printing. Multiple jets are usually used to improve the productivity. Presently, in this case, 8 pairs of jets are used. As MEMS technologies improves, more heads can be packed in a very tiny space. And a flood UV light is thrown on the table when printing takes place. Explicit support structures are of course required here, and the water soluble gel is used in this case, which is not really very photosensitive, and the support is simply blown off by the jet of water. So this is the jetting head what you are seeing here. As it is mounted on the two axes, this is the x axis and this is the y axis. The head moves back and forth like this. As there is a finite length of the head is AMM and it is moving back and forth in x direction, then in a single go it will be able to cure or inject the material in this range. But if the part is larger, for example your part is this much large, then of course this whole thing will index to the next position and then again spread the material. And if it is larger than that, it will again index to the next position and then spread the material. So for example, you want to build a part which is something like this, and its length is L and height is H and width is W. Now this is your head and the length of the head is AMM. Now if you want to scan this entire area, of course this head has to be indexed from this position, next to this position and next to this position. So how many positions will be required can be find out easily by dividing L by A. So whatever the integer will come in this case, that will be the number of index required for the head. It will move back and forth in this direction and then again it will come to the next position, and in that case also it will move back and forth like this and it will keep moving forward as well. In a typical head, there are nozzles through which two types of material can fall. The one you are seeing in the yellow color is the main material, and the same nozzles can also inject the support material. At each level you can see here a curtain of material is falling from the head. If a support material is required, you can see the white color material is coming, and if main material is required, you can see the yellow material is coming. Then it spreads the layer entirely on the bed. Also, when instantaneously the material falls, you can see the UV light is also coming from at a distance. It is available on both the sides. As it goes from this end to this end, it injects or it just provides some drops of the liquid photopolymer on the substrate. Immediately the UV light comes over it and cure it immediately. Of course, the required power of the UV light should be slightly higher in this case, as we want to instantaneously cure the droplet those are falling on the substrate. There is a Z axis here which keeps on going down after completion of each layer and the parts get built. We have a very good advantage here of utilizing the explicit support. This support can be of any desired material. Unlike in the wet photopolymerization process we discussed so far, here being a different type of support structure used, we can give appropriate properties to them so that they can remove easily. What object uses, the company uses, they usually use a material which is easily washable just by the water jet. So in this process you can see the liquid head is flying because it is moving along the xy direction. The UV light is also moving in xy direction, hence the optics is also flying, and the UV light is not very sharp, it is just a floodlight, means the light is not coherent but it is monochromatic. Therefore, we can really call this as flying optics and as well as flying liquid. This video will show you the typical objects polyjet process. Like I mentioned, there is a substrate and we need to first insert the CAD model. On this substrate, this part will be built. You can see that there is a good overhang also in the part. On the top side, there is a head moving back and forth, and this head is consisted of very tiny multiple nozzles. Those will inject the material on the bottom. You can see that based on the requirement, the white material which is here a support is deposited and the yellow material which is the main material is deposited. Immediately you can see after the curtain of the liquid material which is falling from the top, UV light is also coming. That UV light will instantaneously cure the material and that can remain in the cured form on the part. Once the part is completed, the support can be easily removed by spraying a jet of the liquid or the conventional water itself. Hence the part is ready and you can assemble them. Usually in the conventional object polyjet process, 8 heads are used and they are synchronous jetting with the sophisticated head. They can also simultaneously do the jetting and identical amount of resin from all the nozzles. They can provide a very super thin layer of up to 16 microns, and due to this UV light coming, immediately each and every layer get cured. If some nozzles are clogged, you can easily replace the particular head. As I mentioned, there are total 8 heads in this particular case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. If any one of the head is got damaged or got clogged, can be easily removed and replaced with the new head. The standard processor to determine head to replace is already available. There they have some standard images to deposit the material, and if some nozzles in the head are clogged, the material will be missing on those locations. This is the very well suitable machine for the office environments. Also, one benefit we can see nowadays in this machine is that the material which is jetting from the top can be mixed with the color also, and a combination of RGB is appropriately used to appropriately get the color at each and every position of the part, and hence you can build the colorful objects by this technology. So some advantages of the process are listed here. You can really produce the quality models, accurate, detailed, smooth surface models with any geometry design. Also, it is quite fast because it uses the raster technology. X is an axis and of course Y is just an indexing, because in the direction of Y you have to just index it, because if there are 8 heads available, the amount of material will not get it in a line, it will be deposited in a rectangle, and then next time you have to just position the head at a distance which has already occupied by the 8 nozzles. Good material property can be obtained here. It's very easy operation, it is very clean process, and basically no post curing is required because we are instantaneously curing each and every voxels or each and every droplets depositing on the substrate. It is easy to maintain, as if there is any nozzle get clogged, you need to just replace that, like you replace the cartridge in your conventional 2D printer. The limitation of this process is as similar to the SLA process. Like the parts produced by this technology will keep on absorbing the UV light from the environment, and over a period of time they got very brittle. For the modeling of this process, you can easily consider a rectangular source of UV light and the flow of material from the nozzle. Appropriately, based on the flow of material, you can identify the speed of the head and the size of the head, which is basically the indexing. Like you do in your PDF file, based on the resolution of the image which you are providing in the 2D printer, you get the image on the XY plane. Similarly, here also, based on the size of the nozzles we are using, we will get a accuracy on the XY plane of the build platform also. Like you see here, it is an image created with 10 dot per inch, while this is an image created with 300 dot per inch, and you are not able to see any staircase in the XY plane here. In this case, it's very smooth. In a similar fashion, here also in the object polyjet, it depends on the resolution of the head which we are using, and that determines what will be the accuracy of the part deposited even in the XY position, also in the Z direction. And the next one is microstereolithography. The microstereolithography uses the flying liquid. A laser beam uses liquid wet, build part in -Z direction, and provides bottom feeding. So other processes we shall discuss in the coming lecture. With this, thank you very much.